Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Erongo Talk. My name is Leandria Lowe and today I join you from Narraville Public Library here in Walvis Bay. Now as usual I bring you the latest news, the weather and tides, and then for our interview, Elvis Gonza Odeke, who is the head of the at the World Food Program, talks about the focus of the UN World Food Program and the importance of urban agriculture in the fight against hunger. So please don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this. And now it is time for your news from one of my favorite places, the Narraville Public Library. Now, the Secretary of the Topnar Traditional Authority, that is Hendrik Kurisep, has rubbished rumors circulating on social media that the Topnar community is suffering while the family of late Chief Seth Kweki benefits from fishing quota dividends. A post on Facebook by Ambrosius Swartboy alleged that the Topnar community doesn't have water while the family of the late chief plans to splash $125,000 on a tombstone for him. Now, in a telephonic interview, Kurisep said there is no truth to the post. Now, according to him, certain members of the Topnar community who are aiming to become the next chief are behind the post. None of this is true. We don't have any receipts of payments made for tombstone here at the Topnar Traditional Authority, Kurisep responded. He said that he was unaware of any fishing quota dividends being paid out to the late chief's family. But there is more to this story that you can check out on our website. That's www.erongo.com.na. And now, robbery attempts targeting elderly residents of Swakopmund have increased dramatically in the past few weeks. Now, according to the Swakopmund Neighborhood Watch, the latest incident involves an elderly woman who was ambushed near her home. Now, according to SNW, committee member Andre van Rensburg, they received a call on the emergency number that yet another elderly woman had been allegedly attacked by an unknown suspect. Now, the woman had allegedly been attacked while entering a garage at the complex she lives in at Libertina Amadilla Avenue. Now, the suspect hid in one of the garages and waited for her to enter the garage before he made his move. Now, he threw her on the ground and tried to tie her up with a piece of rope. But when she started screaming, the suspect fled, closing the garage door behind him, Van Rensburg recounted. Now, another resident heard the victim scream and rushed to assistance. Now, nothing was taken during the incident. Now, yesterday the media also met up with Inspector Eleni Shapumba, who is the commander for community affairs, and he said that attacks on the elderly is now becoming a crime of concern. So if you know of anyone, and he said if you know of any elderly that's living alone, please check up on them. Let them know, the Neighborhood Watch, that they are staying alone so that we prevent these type of incidents. Now, a few days back, you remember there was a brutal murder as well in Swakopmund of an elderly lady, and the suspect is still at large. You also ask the community or whoever that knows anything about the suspect to please come forward to with this information to the police. Now, on a more lighter note, Thomas Egbrecht is the lucky winner of the Lions Club Swakopmund fundraising draw that took place on Friday. Now, he drove away in a Renault KWID sponsored by Associated Motor Holdings, AMH. Now, second place is a 10,000 cash prize, went to Billy Schikkeling, while Barnett Geldenhuys pocketed $5,000 as the third prize winner. Now, the draw was conducted by Swakopmund Mayor Louisa Kativa in the presence of the chairman of the trust body of the Lions Old Age Home, Max Swieger, and Lions Club Swakopmund President Stefan Steenkamp. Now, today is a special day for us at the Lions as we were able to raise funds again for our Lions Frail Care Center, which cares for up to 34 people. I want to thank the public for their generous support for our project. The funds generated will help us keep the Frail Care Center functional for residents, Swieger said. Now, a total of 3,645 raffle tickets were sold, raising $364,000 Namibian dollars. Now, the car and the prize money for the second and third place totaled which left the Lions Club Swakopmund with an impressive profit of 187,000 Namibian dollars. But there is so much more happening on our website. There's so much more happening in the Erongo region. Head on over to our website. That's at www.erongo.com.na. That's www.erongo.com.na for all the latest news happening right here in the Erongo region.
The urban poor have always, in many cases, been missed out in our programs. Oftentimes when we talk about agriculture and how do we address the question of poverty and all that, it's mostly for the rural based. But the truth is, we do have urban poverty globally, in every country. And we should, in our plans, to the extent possible, try to ensure that we address that too. And that is what we're here today, to demonstrate that poverty cuts across, the poor cut across. Solutions may vary, but we need to have all the spectrum of the people that are faced with food and nutrition security addressed. So by choice of this venue, children definitely at the forefront of our support. Children will continue to be a foundation of our future. The future of nations therefore has to give equal opportunity for children to attain a good education, and by so doing address the key element, the key foundation of children to progress in their education is to feed well. Eat the right food, nutritious food, nourish your mind, study well. Without food, believe me, if we sat here until 3, there is going to be a problem, because we will start losing concentration. As adults, imagine what is going on with the children. And so these initiatives are definitely most welcome. Again, with the mandate to save lives, and I'm talking about the World Food Program now, and the changing of lives and supporting governments to accelerate the journey towards zero hunger, the United Nations World Food Program, whom I'm representing here today, is a strong advocate for homemade solutions to problems in order to address hunger, because we believe homemade solutions are sustainable. They can be sustained. What we are observing here today, as I mentioned, is a practical demonstration of a homemade solution, an appropriate solution to a known problem. And this solution responds to a couple of questions that we ask ourselves from day to day. How can we sustainably address the problem of food insecurity, food availability, access, utilization of food? How do we do that, using practical solutions? Honorable Governor, Your Lordship, the Mayor, ladies and gentlemen, the United Nations World Food Program and many other agencies, but at least for the United Nations, our main focus, as I mentioned, is the humanitarian response. And we are the largest humanitarian agency in the world. And in Namibia, we would like to use our skill, our knowledge, our capacity to support the governments address the issues of food and nutrition security. If I may just a little bit talk about what we do and how it is linked to what is happening here today, very briefly. As mentioned by my colleague Lolita, our main role is providing technical assistance, mostly upstream, developing systems, policies, programs. How do we ensure that we have programs that are well mainstreamed with food and nutrition support elements? How do we train the governments to ensure that they're able to execute their programs? But we've been mostly upstream. And government says, okay, now, thank you for all this work, but the problem is down there. Is it possible for you to go down? We said, absolutely. So now we are now geared towards downstream support. And that's one of the reasons why we're here. It's one of the reasons why the Honorable Governor met my country director a few weeks back to see how we can support the governments at the grassroots, at the regions. Some of the programs include supporting the school feeding program, working with the Ministry of Education, strengthening early warning systems, to address the whole issues of climate change, data collection with respect to food and nutrition security. We'll talk about the food systems briefly, but all these programs supporting the food bank with the Ministry of Gender Equality, Poverty Eradication, and then also working with the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change. So more broadly, this is what we do, but everything geared towards how do we improve food sustainability. Now, what is the future here? Part of what we're seeing here, with all these very good values that Food Namibia has demonstrated there. How do we envisage, as a partner of the government, as a partner of Erongo, moving forward? What should we do? Increase private sector engagement. Demonstrated today, the private sector has a critical role to play in the food systems. That goes without saying. And so we are increasingly advocating for this to happen in a structured manner. And the environment within which we work in Namibia, there is a very strong and enabling environment to ensure that we have the private sector engaged favorably. Food systems. I don't know whether we've all heard about the Food System Summit that is due to take place in September. It's a global summit organized by the United Nations Secretary General. And all the 193 nations in the world are gearing towards the summit. They are planning for it. Now, the drive for the Secretary General and for the world is to question ourselves as to what is happening with our food systems. What is wrong with the way we're doing things? Because the food systems literally looks at the value chain. How is everybody able to access the seed, the technology? Are they able to do planting? Are they planting in the right soil? Are they able to produce? Are they able to store? Are they able to add value? Are you able to sell? Are you therefore able to consume? So the whole world is addressing this, and Namibia, with the support from the United Nations, is also sitting down to see how best we can develop and address the whole question of food systems. So that is going to be the thinking moving forward. And then probably lastly, the whole notion, which is true, one of the biggest challenges that we face in Namibia is that it is a dry country, and that is a fact. And therefore, that doesn't make us stop thinking. Yesterday I was at the NAST presenting a paper to a group of students who are going to graduate from nutrition, and a couple of lecturers. But there was one lady who is a nutrition practitioner. When I mentioned that Namibia was a dry country, she was not confused at all. She took me on and said, "What do you mean that Namibia is a dry country? What do you mean by that?" And she took me aback, and she's right. The reason why Manfred and Tim and Coca-Cola are coming up with this kind of solutions is actually to adapt to that environment. And therefore, the whole notion that it's a dry country needs to be looked at from a different perspective. How do we live with what we have? Okay? So I think, again, this is a very good initiative. I think I'm going to stop here and just touch on one thing that Manfred mentioned regarding what he's doing with the 180 youth and women. And I'm also glad that you're doing something in the schools. Now, I think to finish that loop, which also is part of the food system thinking, is how do we create sustainability through markets? And so one of the programs that we're doing with the government is to promote what we call the homegrown school feeding program. Essentially, which we've done in many countries in the world, establishing schools as part of the structured markets. In other words, through the school feeding program, instead of probably procuring food centrally, would empower the schools to buy food locally for the school feeding program. So schools will be buying mutete, they'll be buying fish. They'll be buying what the children eat at home. Do the children eat dried fish at home? Get dried fish at home. Bring it to school. Through farmers or through the traders. Do they eat mutete at school? Get it to school. Prepare it nicely so they're able to eat it at school. So we're going to have a pilot of this program beginning in May, working with the Ministry of Education to see how best we can use schools as an entry point to create local economic stimulus. meaning that when the money gets into the school, it builds the economy around the school, and the money circulates and remains in the economy. And studies indicate that once you do that, you're able to almost double the money within a very short period. So we'll see how this pilot goes. I know that the Honorable Governor is advocating that we do it in Erongo as well. So we might probably have a chat around that and see how we can consider a few schools in Erongo to demonstrate this program. I'm going to stop here. Thank you very much again. And yeah, we can't wait to see the government.
Hello everyone, my name is Tomaneni Andreas and I am a teacher at a local school in Walvis Bay. So this week's study tips are not only going to excite you, but they will help you to study smartly. So let's dive into it. Study tips. Tip number 1. Choose your study space. Now your study area plays a very important role in your studying. Okay, so whatever area you get to choose, make sure it is clean, it is organized, it is not too cluttered, it is not too noisy. So you have to make sure that it is the space where you feel comfortable and where you can also move around, stretch your arms, your legs a little bit. Yeah, so tip number 2 is create your own study plan. So you are the boss of your study plan. So you have to make sure that whatever plan that you create should be suitable, it should be flexible, it shouldn't limit you in any way, and you shouldn't even compromise. You have to keep it 100% with you. So you get to sit down with yourself and you lay it all out on paper how you are going to study from Monday to Sunday or from whichever days that you get to decide. And then the third study tip is switch off your phone. Now we all know that sometimes our phones can also be a distraction. So when it comes to your studies, as I said earlier, don't compromise and don't limit yourself. So if you know yourself, you know that you receive a lot of phone calls on a regular day, more than 5 phone calls perhaps, and you get a lot of Facebook notifications. So yeah, then you will have to, switch it off just for a time frame of 30 to 40 minutes so you can have enough time to just concentrate on studying. And lastly, study tip, believe in yourself. So before you get to start studying, you have to have a mindset that you believe in yourself, that you are able to pass whatever it is you are studying. So I will advise you to start with a prayer, start with positive affirmations or a positive quote or a motivational speech. Listen to a motivational speech, just for you to raise that vibration, that positive energy in you that you I've been sick.
And now it is time for your weather and tides for all the major towns here in the Erongo region. unfortunately, that brings us to the end of today's episode of Erongo Talk. And I must tell you, if I had my way, I would have stayed here in the library all day and forget about work. But you can still head on over to our website. That's at www.erongo.com.na. That's www.erongo.com.na, where you can catch all the latest news that's happening right here in the Erongo region. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram. And you can get in contact with us at 0811 7040. That's 0811 7040 on both WhatsApp and on Telegram. Now, on Sunday, we are going to celebrate Happy Mother's Day. Now, I would like to challenge you, our lovely viewers, to send us some videos or where you are wishing your auntie, your mother, your grandmother, whoever, a happy Mother's Day. You can keep the videos to 30 seconds max, and where you give a short message to the people or to the very important people who are our mothers, and you can send it to 0811 7040. That's 0811 7040, and we are going to post that video onto our Facebook page. So I'm challenging you, make us some videos, send it to our number. You can send it on WhatsApp or on Telegram. That's at 0811 7040. Now, that is also your go-to number if you want to advertise with us on both print and on online media. So it's Thursday, it's almost Friday. So hang in there. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.